This is Next With, the series where we talk to the biggest minds in marketing, major thinkers, major brands, and in this case, I would say a major maker, a major shaper and doer, because we have Remco Westermann, who is the CEO of Verve. First of all, it's great to have you, and hey, this must be feeling like exactly your place, your vibe. This is the marketing industry, and you help make some of it.
Thank you for having me, Maggie. Yeah, it's a great vibe here. It's a lot of things happening. Things are moving, and I hate boring things, so this is the way it should be.
You've been in the industry for a long time and seen a lot come and go with trends, with developments. Just thinking about what you found most exciting or most innovative, maybe in the last year, something surprising, giving us an idea of what you're seeing, what makes you excited about the industry today.
Okay. No, but I remember when I was at university, they were saying, and it was, I'm Dutch, and that was still guilders, they were saying of every guilder in advertising spent, 50% is wasted. So it's really, it has not become more efficient. If you look in the US, there's over $1,200 advertising spent per inhabitant. So that it's huge. I mean, there's so much advertising spent, there's so much waste in this industry. And I think that's one of the main things now. So finding the right people, finding the right audiences has become much more difficult. And I would say that it's over the years, it has become more complex, and the wastage has only become bigger.
But another thing that has grown is not just the complexity, but there are more opportunities as well. I mean, you're a fan of innovation, obviously, building a company. You love to see things move, and that's what's happening in the industry. We're seeing that people are thinking about out of home, emerging channels, bringing web and app together. I mean, there's still a lot of room for innovation. What do you see? Where do you see the channels where marketers should maybe be focusing their attention, maybe even their budget?
Yeah, let's say what we say, emerging channels, of course, what's growing, where there's a lot more attention now. So that's what we are focusing at. It's because that's also where positions are changing, our view, underrepresented in the marketing budgets. So there's a lot of money still spent in channels which are not getting as many viewers as some other channels where there's a lot less money spent.
For example, where?
Walled gardens. Look at YouTube. I mean, the YouTube marketing spend compared to the reach, there's a disconnect. So that's one of the things. The second is, we call it responsible advertising. There are elements like carbon, there are elements like privacy. There's a lot of things, brand safety.
I was going to say, brand safety.
All those kind of things. So you don't want to have your ads in unsafe environments. You want to really reach the right person. That's then about having the right audiences selected. And then you get into real data about how do you define an audience, how do you measure an audience, or how do you measure the results. So this whole industry is super complex, basically, and it has become very technical.
When you're looking at what marketers are doing, and you're working with these companies and you're hearing about that, they also want to stitch together this experience. They want to make it cross-channel, multiple channels, but also measuring that. How are you thinking about that at Verve?
We are cross-channel, but emerging cross-channel, I have to say. We really concentrate on in-app, CTV, mobile web, digital out-of-home, and audio. Those are the channels where it's now growing, where it's happening, and where there's also a lot of know-how missing, where there's a lot of uncertainty about what can I do, who can I reach. And I think that's where, we add most value. And we're also, as I said before, measuring. If you do cross-channel, measuring is more complex. But cross-channel is proven to be better than just using one channel.
What are the channels where maybe marketers would be reaching more audience because the audience is there, the spend isn't, so they could have a first mover advantage?
Let me say digital out of home and audio. So those channels are super interesting. But if you want to really do marketing at scale, we're really talking about in-app, CTV most of all.
Yes.
Mobile web. And let's say retail media, not to forget, which is somehow going in between. But I would also say retail media or retail is also an emerging channel.
And there is signal loss. There is a problem with the amount of data. But on the other hand, I'm hearing so much more about the contextual data points that maybe we're missing. Maybe we don't fully understand or we don't leverage properly. That could fill in some of the gaps there.
Yeah, we believe in, let's say, a more complex way of targeting and measuring, which is combining the signals that you have. This market has also there become much more complex. But if you then, how to say it, take the contextual signals, the alternative identifiers, so you put all the information that you have together, you get much better. We have now a new, let's say, tool developed or solution which is called Atom, targeting on mobile device. So we measure signals on the mobile device via our SDK, and with that we are able to say with a very high likelihood is the male or female. There's no personal data leaving the device, so it's all segments. That's another way of measuring, or let's say of targeting and measuring. And if you put all those together, you get the best results. And you have to, of course, work with the privacy part. If a consumer says, I don't give consent, there is no consent. And that part of the market is getting bigger and bigger. Apple now is 70% no consent, or even more than that. Let's say looking at the browsers, okay, Google had to change a bit, but also there's a movement towards less consent. So a publisher wants to also sell its non-consent traffic. An advertiser should focus on this non-consent because there's hardly any competitors there at the moment. And if you are able to target well there, it's a great way of working with cheaper CPMs and still doing a very good job. So that, but I think the whole thing is it's getting more complex. That means also you need more, I'd say, know-how on the side of the media agencies, of the advertisers.
Another thing that's very different is the focus on brand and performance and getting that balance right. But I'm hearing so much more about the investment in brand needs to be greater because the impact, LTV, the curve, the whole long term, and much more worth the investment. How do you see how brands and marketers should be balancing brand and performance?
Totally agreeing. You should combine, let's say, lower funnel and then upper funnel. Upper funnel is long term, so much more difficult to measure.
Yes.
But we have seen with an, let's say, sports shoes brand that was, let's say, neglecting the upper funnel, that they really have a problem selling their shoes now. So there is proof in the market, and it's difficult to really prove what's there. There's a new segment which we see, which is in the middle, which we call brand performance, which is not really about selling things, but really about measuring, much better measuring of what you do on the branding side. So it's clicks, it's reactions, it's really things like that. So because a lot of brand is just vague, and a lot of brand uplift studies are maybe not telling the ultimate truth because there's so much different influences in there. So we're a big fan of brand performance, really making also brand more measurable. Plus doing a lot really on the performance side.
And creativity is important. A lot of marketers are saying creativity has to come back. We lost it in marketing and advertising. We need to balance that. We need to focus on that.
No, totally agree. As I said before, it's about, let's say, reaching the right people, don't wasting money on media buying with too many parties in between, and then using the right creativity to really get your message there. And then about measuring that you really see what can I improve.
We're talking about the complexity, but there's also within the ecosystem some competition, demand and supply. We say, for example, the publisher is the new audience.
Yeah, I agree. There is this discussion. And if you talk to a DSP or demand side platform, they say we are the strong ones and we're going to add the supply. Not so easy. If you talk to an SSP, they say we're going to add the demand side, and we do that because we have the data, we have the publisher. And so I think it's both sides are right and wrong at the same time. In the end, you want to have a vertical solution. Well, we're coming with a gaming background, and we were really fed up with having so much information loss mostly, but also money loss between having too many parties between you as an advertiser and as a publisher. So the more direct, the better. And then indeed, is the publisher the audience? Publisher is super important because publisher is very close to its customers. Exactly. It can get much more information. But in the end, it's about the consumer. If the consumer is happy with the content, he will faster give consent than if he's not, or she.
Well, we talked about how exciting the industry is and how gamers are excited. So there's a lot of interest, there's a lot of attention for an industry that talks a lot about attention scarcity or attention metrics. So people are paying attention, and there is a level of them being more available if you can engage them properly. What are you most excited about when you look out at the horizon, you look at the trends of the industry? If it's about making it more sustainable, more profitable growth, more value at the top of the funnel, but in through the marketing funnel. What makes you excited? How are we going to get there?
Yeah, our mission is make media better. And that
Okay.
covers a lot of stuff, of course. But it's really, we think, like I said before, that a lot of money is wasted. And that marketing can do a much better job. Also publishers can partly do a much better job. And that's where we want to help and play our part of that.
So I just want to pick up on the point you made. Make media better. Who wouldn't want to do that? But how should media buyers, media companies, brands be approaching this to make it work, to make it better?
It's a step-by-step approach. I think people should be willing to put part of their budget really on experiments, just testing things, learning things. A lot of it is about learning, I would say. And of course, working with the right partners, but okay, that's obvious one. But it's really the willingness of advertisers and the agencies to really experiment, do A/B tests, improve, try. And that's also to your question before, how many partners can you work with or do you want to work with? Not too many, because you should build a much more close relation. And I think a lot of the industry has moved towards price war, or let's say price pressure. You get my account if you hardly make margin on it. I mean, that's what's happening a lot in the media industry at the moment. Well, I think that also maybe gives you more financial efficiency, but it costs you efficiency on the experimenting side, on the new things, on the innovation. And in the end, if you find a different way to do a digital out-of-home ad, which is cool, which gets more engagement, saving 10% of your marketing budget compared to doing double the views because of better engagement with the people or better attention. So I think it has come too much in the financial game, and somehow the know-how, the willingness to experiment and to really work on making the things better is missing a bit at the moment.
And we know the power of a winning creative. I mean, it is worth the effort, it is worth the investment, because that is what stays. That's the impression.
Yeah, but if this winning creative is shown to the wrong people, or let's say to the people that are not your
then we're back to
target group.
inefficiency again.
No, well, we had an example. Let's say a car manufacturer wants to advertise a car. And then you look for car enthusiasts. But you also need to look for car enthusiasts that are living in a region where it's most likely that they have the salary that fits to the kind of car. Can be a small car, can be a large car, can be an expensive car. So you need to do much more precise targeting, and then your creative even has more effect than if you show to wrong people.
You say it's wasted. I'm just curious, because everybody wants to do it better. How much wastage could be removed if we connect up the channels better or measure the channels better?
It's so difficult to say, but every 10% that you become more efficient or effective saves a lot of money and also annoys the consumer a lot less. Because there's also a lot of all these ads that are going to the wrong people are super annoying. And so in those things, there's a lot that we can improve to make the world a better place.
Well, we started with how you made the industry an exciting place. You've been there shaping it. And we talk about the future of marketing. So I think we've gone full circle, Remco. It's been an amazing interview. We went all the way around, coming back to the customer and what matters now. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much.